to call their expert witness?
At this time, we would not call the expert. We would just ask, obviously, leave to keep the hearing open to be able to call the other witnesses we discussed.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. Did Miss Starks identify, other than on that videotape, did Miss Starks identify Darrell Jones? I mean, she's your only eyeball witness, right?
No.
Excuse me, if you would just step
that's not
outside.
true.
And then when he was holding him by his jacket, they had got on the sidewalk. And when they got on the sidewalk, I saw a gun, and I said, a gun?
Who got the gun?
The small guy had the gun.
That man is singing. Man, he was a blind bird.
The small guy had the gun.
Getting photograph of Darrell Diamond Jones.
I think the jury should never have seen that videotape. I think it was inherently unreliable. And I think without that videotape that Darrell would have been found not guilty in a heartbeat.
You're going to see where this woman needs a fix. She's clearly, zooted out of her mind, and the tape cuts. Where does the tape cut? It's a crash edit. The tape cuts at the moment when she's saying the little guy had the gun, was next to the big guy. Well, there is no little guy and a big guy. Darrell was 18 or 19 years old at the time, I think. He's 6 feet. Mr. Rodriguez is 6'1". They're the same size. So that's when the tape cuts, and it cuts to an episode of Sergeant Bilko.
Who's the other eyeball witness? I just want to know. But you would agree if that was a crash edit of that tape, that would be a material fact, wouldn't it? No. I mean, there would be like a travesty of justice.
So you heard me, no.
So you disagree? Yeah. That's fine. All right, thank you very much for your interview. So what gets you through this?
What get me through that?
Mm-hmm.
My father. My father never. And when I get that feeling in me, knows what you're thinking. There's something wrong somewhere.
Commonwealth has just indicated that they are not likely to call their expert witness.
At this time, we would not call the expert. We would just ask, obviously, leave to keep the hearing open to be able to call the other witnesses we discussed yesterday. But otherwise, we don't have testimony today.
All right, let me see you do a sidebar just to discuss what the next step is.
My fearless prediction as to the next step is that they're going to compel some of these other witnesses to come forward, particularly Sergeant Smith, the man who has previously stated... Yeah. Particularly Sergeant Smith, who's stated the manner in which he allegedly created the video in question.
I read the transcript, and just the way that the appearance and the sequence of events on the tape reminded me of the article that I've talked about extensively during my testimony, and so I reviewed that.
Were you provided an entire transcript or just certain portions that the defense wanted you to review?
The only portions that I reviewed were regarding Detective Smith's testimony about how the over-recording allegedly happened.
The two that were read on your PowerPoint, or more than that, if you know? Was it like his entire testimony about it?
The only portion that I received back when I initially got this was Detective Smith's explanation about how he claimed that he inadvertently recorded over the original interview tape.
Okay. Did you read any of the defendant's attorney's comments about how it happened as well?
I believe that there was some
Okay.
commentary about that.
And do you know if the part that you read was from the voir dire that was done just in front of the judge, or if it was the part in front of the jury when the tape was admitted, or you don't know because you didn't have the whole context?
I don't recall.
Did you do any testing on your hypotheses, or did you test any other hypotheses? Or on your conclusion, I should say?
The only testing that I did was a comparison of the recorded media in this case with the examples that were furnished. If you're asking, did I replicate
Correct.
the different scenarios? No.
Okay, so you just used the comparison that was given in the study that was marked as an exhibit, but you didn't actually try to replicate these conditions to see if with this data or these images the same thing happened.
That's right, and the reason for that is I think there are so many variables in equipment. If I had access to the equipment that was allegedly used to make the recording, it would have been highly useful to do testing of that sort. But I think it would be, in many ways, pointless to attempt it without that original equipment. Yes.
Oh, just a little follow-up too. You were testifying earlier that this type of analysis and this type of authentication or authenticity testing that you did was not available in 1986 when this case went to trial. Do you know when it did become available, this specific testing that you are doing?
The specific testing, not until the early 90s,
Okay.
early to mid 90s.
And that's when the digital equipment became available to professionals, so to speak. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Before there was the digital testing, was there an analog version of authenticity testing?
There was certainly an analog version of switch point analysis, which would be for generation determination, and that was with a cross-pulse monitor primarily.
And so that was available back in 1986 when this case went to trial, correct?
Yes, which would provide some information, but not to the level of precision that we have today.
Just one of the factors that you used in coming to your conclusion, but it certainly was one of them.
Sure.
And again, the switch points would have been visible, and someone back in 1986 hypothetically could have formed an opinion about whether there was an original tape or not being shown to the jury.
I don't think that with the equipment available then, specifically cross-pulse monitors, that you would be able to see some of the subtle variations, such as which scan lines the switch points were visible on. Not to the degree of precision that you can with the equipment that was available to me.
And that, again, it would probably have been in the early 90s that it was better.
That it began to become available, yes, that's right.
I have no further questions.
Just a few things, Your Honor. In your testimony, you talked about the concept of content being original to a tape. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And let's start with the definition. What does that mean for something to be original to a tape?
It means that it's the first instance of that material being recorded on that tape.
Okay, so if, I think as was mentioned in the hypothetical question, if Detective Smith used a VHS tape which had previously recorded content in the camcorder when he recorded the interview of Terry Starks, would that newly recorded material, the Terry Starks interview, be original to that tape?
Yes.
Notwithstanding the existence of prior material?
That's correct.
Okay.